Yeah, so I'll discuss a bit about AI training and some copyright lawsuits. So I'll use the notebook LM. Just a minute, I'll share. Yeah, so I will follow the mind maps only from here. So I think let's give some context to the story first. So the idea of following this news came when I read the news that Anthropic had won some particular lawsuit regarding copyright. So let's see what it was. So they had won some judge. I think I don't really know the locations and stuff, but he allowed Anthropic to win a lawsuit saying that the if the data is acquired legally, then it comes under fair use. And they are saying that it is transformative in the training process is transformative in nature, so it does not really break any copyright law. So they are relating a machine learning or literally a machine learning to how humans learn. So if a human being buys a book and learns its content, so that human being is not breaking any copyright law. So they are saying similarly, a machine also is learning from the content of the books, and it is not pasting or outputting the exact lines as it is. So it has its own transformative process. It will give the output in its own way. So it is not breaking any copyright law and it comes under fair use. So basically they're saying that so the AI is not replicating one to one the original content of the material, but they're creating something with it. So on that grounds, the judge said that this is not copyright infringement in any way. But the condition was that the data was acquired legally. So that was how this story started initially. But then few months later, either the same case or a separate case or similar case as that happened where and it also involves Anthropic only where what did happen? So that one particular lawsuit was certified as class action. So I don't exactly know the meaning of class action. Do you know what class action means?
No, when I'm not aware of it. So you can
Yeah, yeah, we
maybe
can.
search
Yeah, you can search
it
here
and
also.
yeah,
But like, I'm trying to think because I read it somewhere.
yeah.
It's something. It means like there is a uh, particular case or scenario for which someone is suing you, and if it is called class actions, that means any person who belongs to that class can take part in that lawsuit without filing the lawsuit individually. I think that is what it means.
So
So let's just ask some.
so means it was not very clear.
Yeah. Should you ask ChatGPT? Or is Notebook LM will also be able to answer?
Yeah, but it will answer in context to whatever is here.
Yeah, I mean, if yeah, so at least in this context, for example, since they are being sued for copyright infringement, so that means they were
Yeah,
trained on the materials of multiple authors and creators. So when a lawsuit becomes
yeah.
class action, then all the authors whose materials were used for the training can take part in this lawsuit without having to file a lawsuit themselves individually. So it sort of becomes like a group lawsuit.
Okay,
So ideally,
okay.
like because these things are very uh, uh, like they are very to the point. Like if you want to sue someone, like you're suing for very particular things. And it's like
Hmm.
in murder also, if someone, for example, we know someone has murdered someone, but there's no clear evidence, even though it is like an open, let's say, open secret that we know he has murdered it, so he can get away. So that is why, like in lawsuits also, if multiple people have a problem, then multiple people have to individually sue them. So, but if it becomes a class action, then without you having to individually sue them, you can take part in it. So that is the that is the current situation where a lawsuit was has been certified as class action for Anthropic, and so there's a potential that millions of authors can claim damages that they have without their consent trained with their materials and stuff. Let's see. Let's just see what it says. Yeah, so basically the argument from Anthropic now is that because it is a class action lawsuit, so there will be a lot of potential monetary damages to the Anthropic. They're saying like there might be up to 150,000 USD per infringement. So, and it's
Or
like there will be multiple, like hundreds of thousands of materials they must have used. So there's a huge potential for damages to them. And also they're saying that the judge passed this argument in a very rushed and flawed manner. And yeah, and also saying that there is no clear like there is no clear identification of who are the people that are belong to this class. So as an author, how would you know that Anthropic has used your material? So like the way to notify the people who can be part of this class action is also not very clear. So there are some gray areas like that. And certain industry groups, I'm not sure what these are, but this Electronic Frontier Foundation, Authors Alliance, and many others are saying this kind of class action lawsuits are not suited for AI cases and such. And one of the main arguments also of letting these companies use AI, not sorry, not AI, materials freely is to train the models. Otherwise, it could hamper the development of the AI models. So that is one of the arguments that is always given. So that is just the
who gives this argument? The AI companies.
yeah, mostly AI companies, pro AI people will give this argument that if you sue them this way, and if you hinder the training process itself, it will hamper the development of the AI models and stuff. So basically, you're hampering progress.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
think that was regarding, yeah. So that is regarding how this story began. Now let's try to look through some of the arguments like there are for and against companies using AI companies using data. So one of the core arguments given is that it is transformative in nature. So and they're relating it to human learning. So a human being is allowed to buy a book, learn from it, and then give his own output through of that book, and maybe even monetize that output. So the argument here is that AI models are also doing the same thing. They are learning whatever is the content of the book, and they are transforming it into their own output. So it should be allowed. Second is the necessity and scale of the data. So if we want a model to know a lot of things, basically it's called artificial intelligence. We are trying to reach AGI and stuff. So it has to know everything, and it can only know everything from what has already been done. So it has to be allowed to train on data that exists. Otherwise, it will be missing some knowledge that exists in the world. I think that is what it means. But anyways, what is non-expressive use? From these 3 points, do you have any idea what this point could be?
But non-expressive
Yeah, that is the argument given
use,
for allowing that. Mm,
statistical analysis, not for original communication purpose.
So these
Okay,
lines,
so
yeah,
look,
go ahead.
look, I have an idea about what they're trying to say here. It's like it's more of a scientific point of view. Instead of just using their content for creating another content, we are just trying. It's a scientific thing. We're trying to look at the patterns about how language works, words work,
Mm-hmm.
instead of those kind of things.
Yeah, so
But then again, after learning that, they turn it into a product.
yeah,
Okay,
because you can see
continue.
here this line, I think it says they contend that AI models learn patterns and structures, but the models themselves do not contain copies of the training data in a human readable form. So it's not like they're stealing a copy of the book and keeping it as it is. They're extracting the patterns they're learning, but basically what is it called, weights and matrices, so ultimately it becomes numbers, so it is not retained in the original
Yeah.
form. So that is one of the arguments given. Lastly, one other is given is to prevent monopolization, because this, at least this lawsuit particularly applies to Anthropic only. So they are saying that if you
Yeah.
are only targeting us but you do not target the other AI companies also, it will lead to monopolization. There has to be some diversity in the AI models or the foundation AI model companies. There must be more than one or more than a few, so that it remains equal throughout the board. If we target only Anthropic unfairly, they will go down. Then the rest of the models will have a chance to get bigger, get more audience, and it will lead to monopolization. So these are some arguments that the Anthropic is giving for why they should be allowed to train their models on materials. But there are also many arguments on where is it? Why it should not be allowed. So, for example, firstly, they're saying it undermines the creator's rights and compensation. So, one could think like if someone had some kind of expertise, they spend their life learning something, gaining some skill, then they convert it into a book or something to spread their knowledge. And the expectation maybe from their side would be that I should be able to earn some kind of living from this expertise that I gain and the book I'll be selling. But let's say there's this AI, and most people could get some of the information that you have to provide directly by asking the AI without having to look at your book. So it is potentially taking away from your compensation that you could have got, right? And in the long term, there's also a chance
Yes.
of, yeah, there's a chance of all content becoming AI content overall. There will be very less incentive for someone to come up with original work, or there will be very high incentive, but only few very high quality original work maybe will reach the status currently even mediocre works are reaching. Because to come up with mediocre work will be very easy with AI, and it will take a lot of time and effort to come up with very original work that can surpass AI. So that is one aspect. Notice this. Yeah, so like I was saying, this AI generated content is competing with human generated content. Majority of people will not bother to verify, identify, or care where the source is coming from. If it is AI generated or someone is writing it with their own expertise, there will be loss of traffic for publishers and rag. So, like if you earlier, what would happen if you wanted to some information, you would type in the keywords, you will get multiple blogs or websites. You had to visit it to get the data you're looking for. Now AI will go through the content itself and it will give you a summary. Most people, 80 to 90% will be content with that summary, and they will get the take the information and leave. So ultimately the traffic is also decreasing. And the current model is based on traffic. You want more people to visit your website, you want them to see ads. So what is the replacement of this is still not there. Even Google themselves, their own strategy is to display ads, get more traffic that way. And they are the ones themselves giving this AI overview. So there is this disconnect on how this could be monetized, such that it is equally applicable to anyone who is taking part, not just a few. And then there's the question of unauthorized acquisition and piracy. How do we guarantee that the materials they are training their models with are acquired through proper channels and not pirated? And this is an interesting one because everyone tries to equate AI learning with human learning. So human beings learn the same, AI is learning the same way human beings learn. But I don't remember clearly what the arguments were. But like for this point, what do you think? Like, is human learning similar to, like, is AI learning the same way as humans are learning? Should that be applied?
Yeah, that's in a way, I think in a way it is sort of similar, but also because even in humans we try to a lot of our inspiration comes from following certain works, and then we try to copy their style, and then over time we create our own style. So it does begin from somewhere,
Mhm.
because completely original work is quite difficult from scratch. Like from my point of view, mostly in programming, what happens is sometimes we try and just copy paste, or like just follow a tutorial and then try to edit something and come up with things. So
Mhm.
if that's how AI learns, so yeah, that's one way. So
So
yeah, you
I
can go
think,
ahead with this.
mm, I think the point to focus here could be this, that the difference lies in the retention and scale at which they learn. So a human cannot learn at the pace at which an AI is going to learn, and it cannot retain the close to all the information that the AI is going to retain. So there are
Yeah,
obvious flaws or limitations for a human being to learn. An AI can know about everything, but a human being has to choose certain areas, some interests, and whatever else. So there's this limitation is going to always be there, and at a certain point, uh, AI is going to it already knows more than most human beings. And what is it? Superhuman speed and scale. Yeah, so the speed at which it learns, the speed at which it can output, and the scale and speed both at which it can learn and output is superhuman. So it is not exactly comparable because ultimately you are uh, teaching. What does it mean to teach an AI? You are just storing some things in memory, which is artificial. But yeah, I'm also not very. I don't have clear opinion on this. I think this argument comes again here about AI training being expressive and non-expressive. Non-expressive is basically they're saying it is not stored as directly words. It is a representation, some mathematical calculation and stuff, statistics basically. But human beings do not learn that way, or maybe they do, because sometimes, uh, for example, if when you are calculating, say 1 plus 1, we are not really doing the
Yeah.
calculation 1 plus 1. We just know the answer is 2.
Yeah. Oof. Hmm.
So in that case, I think similarly, AI is also somewhat similar in how it outputs. It does not do the calculation, it just predicts that it will be 2. So similar to how we do it. But in a sense, like there are different things. One is biological and flawed. Other is other is being built to be perfect and fast. So yeah, this I think this is a very somewhat interesting point. We'll have to think more about this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Means this is a point where a lot
Mm,
of things could be discussed
yeah.
or explored.
And last point, I guess, is feasibility of licensing. Um, so how could it be? So licensing, like if there is a big publication, so there are multiple media houses, big publications, they can license their work directly to the AI companies, and that way they earn some monetization also. But there are like hundreds and thousands of pages. Most of them are independent, small pages. They do not have the avenue to approach any AI companies to ask them to use their content or license their content, but it is still being trained that way. And there will be certain subscription only pages, even though it is a niche. Maybe like 10,000 or so people are visiting that site. So if the AI companies are ignoring those kind of licensing uh, medium, then they are harming the economics of the internet basically. So I think these are the arguments given. I think one point is not mentioned here or not written here, but I think remember reading it somewhere that there are certain, like even before AI, there are certain techniques that companies or our websites would use so that robots cannot scrap their website. So like some kind of text file or robots.txt or some kind of files would be there that stops any crawl bots, or what is it called, spiders, what is it called, crawlers from
Yeah.
crawling
Crawlers,
the,
web
yeah,
crawlers.
yeah, web crawlers from crawling their website. But I read somewhere that these AI companies are using methods that bypass this kind of uh, setup, so that in itself is not the correct way. So I think there's still a lot of gray area regarding how AI training is done or how it should be done and those things. But these were some of the like arguments for and against AI training. And lastly, there can be some, let's say, these are some of the philosophical or psychological kind of arguments for different situations. So some questions basically. So for example, what should be defined as creation and authorship in the age of AI? So if I am asking the AI to write certain kind of essay, who is the author? Is it me? Is it the AI bot? Is it the AI company? Is it the authors or the original creators who wrote the content? How do you trace it back to the origin? So that is one question here. So if for this question, what do you think what kind of opinions do you have?
Who is the author? So right now, mostly what
I think there's some network issue.
if it's a more technical kind of article.
You're getting stuck again. Hello.
Whoever is writing it is presenting a perspective. So ultimately, it's the or the owner is the writer. So from my point of view, whoever is giving the prompt is going to be the owner. From This is from a intellectual point of view. So, but then there is this economical or this business point of view that who gets the revenue, and so from that point of view, there will be various arguments. Everybody will try to claim ownership, so that the reason they want to claim ownership is that then they can use this ownership to also claim a part of the revenue. So that is so people will come up with any kind of argument to justify their ownership so that they can also get a part of the revenue. But just from a simple intellectual point of view, my perspective is that whoever writes the prompt to write the essay is the owner of that thing.
Yes, I think in some other YouTube video or
Yeah.
something, I remember this point they made. And also it depends on the different laws of the different countries, how they define their laws. It will be different. But I think in US copyright law or somewhere, they have started talking about this, that they're saying if there is significant input from the person who is giving the input, then the output should be able to be copyrighted to their name. So, for example, I think the example they used was for image creation. So, if you just ask to create a picture of a cat, that in itself is not enough for you to copyright the output. But if you give significant inputs, so like where the cat should be, what color, some contra or like different aspects could be there for creating an image. So if there is significant input from your side in creating the prompt, then I think the output should be the author of the output is you. Then that is
Yes.
regarding this point. What is this one? Yeah, this is also similar points we covered already. So if AI starts learning from existing content and writing its own content, then there's a threat to the livelihoods of this creator economy, where people rely on creating something and other people consuming it. So essentially, the AI is competing with the original works of the people. So there will be revenue loss for creators. And what is this point? I think let's skip this. I don't really understand what they're saying.
Okay.
Technological progress versus right infringement. So there's like their talk of a balance. So there has to be a balance between the progress of technology and making sure you're not the rights of individual creators are not infringed upon. So like the companies will argue that there's using the copyrighted content is the necessity for invention right now. But if that is true,
Mm.
companies should make sure that the data are collected through proper channels. Like for example, I've mentioned they're using pirated contents from multiple shadow libraries. Then they are bypassing this robots.txt directive I told you about. So yeah, these are some concerns regarding or the balance between this. And what is this? Yeah, similar points. So what constitutes AI learning and understanding compared to human learning? These are all some points that like there's no conclusion to these points right now. If you keep thinking about this, there will be multiple arguments coming from different perspectives. So yeah, it's an open point. Uh, Anything you have to say? I don't think I have
Yes.
any other points. Or do you want to discuss anything in further detail or something?
Yeah. So the big picture of the big picture issue here is the issue concerning the copyrights of the training data used to train the AI models.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what my understanding is. This is the big picture view, and these are the various details. So so the two main issues that I found here is that since this is a very relatively new thing, training AI models and then monetization of their outputs of the models. So the two things are there isn't a clear legal framework on how to deal with the copyrights or how to like what is legal, what is not legal, unlike various other things like historically. Suppose things like land and those things, those are very old things. Like suppose I cannot grow crops on someone else's land and then try to sell it.
Hmm.
I cannot grow crops in someone else's land for free and then try to sell it and then say that, yeah, I did the work. It doesn't work at all. Like because those are very old things. The law is very rigid. We know that if I'm using someone else's land, I have to pay the rent, and then whatever I can do, I will do, and then I can sell it. But I have to pay the rent. So those things are very clear. Everything is being cleared out. These are old things, but this is a very new thing. So
Hmm.
means how do you take the data? What is legal? How much do you have to pay? So the main thing I'm trying to say is that there is not a clear legal framework on how to deal with it. And the
Yeah.
second thing is the second is business slash economic slash business economic or the financial model. Like how to compensate the
Hmm.
people uh, for their data.
Yeah.
So those are the two broader things that are coming up. And to deal with this, what people have to do is to take to debate and contemplate on various things. So yes, and they'll have to think really deep and hard, think philosophically, think analytically, and think about this economically. Yeah, yes, they have to think hard. It won't be easy to come up with to come up with a framework. So
Yeah.
that's what I have learned from here. And yeah, do you have to say something?
Yeah. I think so. Like the debates for this has to have input from a variety of background. So people who are invested in these AI companies will always be of the opinion that it should always obviously be allowed to be trained without any limitations. But people on the other hand who rely on publishing some kind of content maybe to the websites, and they rely on the monetization through ads and stuff, they will have the opinion that their content should not be trained that way. AI should not be allowed to display the output of their content. So maybe some of them will think that AI output shouldn't be there itself. So if you ask a variety of people with different backgrounds, they will give you different arguments for why AI either should exist or should not exist. So anyone who is going to be working on creating some kind of policy has to make sure that like they consider all the different backgrounds and the different use cases that it affects. So like it cannot be a one-sided policy that favors only the AI companies or favors only the creators. Maybe
Yeah, that's the ideal case scenario, but
yeah.
yeah.
of course.
Oh, yeah, finish.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Uh, yeah. It's like anything in politics. Uh, this is the ideal case scenario which all people want this to happen.
Mm,
But like again, like anything in politics, is about the practical people who are in the positions of power to influence the policies, how it's going to happen. But again, on a practical note, some of the things that I can come up with is this: if the AI companies are claiming that AI is greater good for the humanity, so you should not restrict it. So it should be very simple. So either if you are creating a model, if you are a business, if you are a for-profit business, and if you are creating this AI model for a greater good of the humanity, but at the same time you're also charging a monthly revenue. So the simple solution is whoever you're taking the data from, you also should pay them.
mm,
Like it's simple business. It happens all the time. Suppose if I'm a restaurant, if I want to cook vegetables and rice and chicken, so I have to pay the persons. I have to pay the vegetable person who supplies me vegetable. I cannot say that I'll take it from you for free because I want to say I want to feed the people, but I'll take money from the people. You can't do that. So if suppose
yeah,
if I'm a NGO, then I can say that I feed people for free. So if you don't mind, can you give your vegetables for free? Then it's fine. So if you are giving a model for free, then you can probably ask people that can you give a data for free. But if you have a business model, if you charge your customers for access to the AI model, then you
mm,
should also pay for the data that you are using to train the data thing. That's a very clear cut solution. That's
yeah,
the that's a simple one. Then then you don't even have to think about this complex philosophical what is AI learning? Is it simple is it like human or not? You don't even have to think about like this. If you are selling a product and you're charging for this, so whatever raw materials you're using, you should also pay for the raw material. And that the case is closed there. Like people, if you don't want to go get into this complex philosophical and intellectual debates, there's the simple answer.
yeah. But I think that is where the
But
gray area
yeah.
comes, right? Because any content on the internet is open content. It comes under fair use, the law of fair use. So, and that is what they're arguing. That whatever you're doing is already part of fair use. So,
Does
the,
it? Is
yes, that is what the first initial argument was. That, like I told you, they won the first lawsuit. Anthropic won the lawsuit
yeah.
under the grounds that it comes under fair use because their output is transformative. Whatever the AI is learning, it is not exactly replicating it as it is. It has its own spin on it. But the issue was with
Okay.
pirated data. So how are you sourcing the data? If it is licensed legally through proper channels, then it is considered under fair use. But if not, then that is where the issue was.
Okay.
Anyway, time
Okay. So
is
if
almost about to
again,
be up.
that is what. Okay. How much time is left?
Few seconds, I think. Last 1 minute.
Okay. So we'll continue with the. I think so. This is okay. We'll continue for another 10-15 minutes in the next video. Then we'll
Okay.
complete this.
Then I'll end this one and you can start.
Yeah. So what we're talking about free use. So for
Yeah,
example.
so, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. You say. I'll listen first.
No, I was going to repeat the same point. So, any content on the internet comes under fair use. So, if you're using it that way, then it is legal to train the AI with those data. But if you're sourcing the data illegally, then that is where the class action lawsuit is there. So, yeah.
Okay. Because Like sometimes like in YouTube, what I've seen is there are some channels that react to music, and music is something that is very
Yeah.
much uh, it has a very high, very strict business model. Like for example, even
Mm.
some videos that I edit or create where I use music, it's all there is some copyright claim already for music. So these YouTubers can react to music by, but they play their music in their YouTube videos. So I don't know the business model.
Mm.
So whether they have to pay some kind of revenue, or if they claim that it's the whole video is free, we don't monetize or we don't run ads. I'm not sure what's the business model there. So I think means what I'm trying to say is that it's also, I'm not sure how this kind of business model works. So yeah. So the thing is that
Yeah.
if
So in
yeah,
yeah, so in regards to like this YouTubers, for example,
yeah,
there if they are playing the music like they start with the introduction, then they play the music continuously and they do not give any input, then they do an outro and that's it. So
yeah,
that in that case, I think they are infringing copyright because the content they are producing is not transformative enough. But you will also find some people, some videos like there's a 5 minute song and their video is 40 minutes or so.
hmm,
So they are doing a lot of commentary, a lot of analysis, stopping, playing, going back and forth.
yeah,
In that case, that is considered transformative. So that comes under fair use. So yeah, and if it is infringing copyrights, so like what do? The company, the music company will monetize that video.
okay, the whole
So
revenue
even though
goes
it
to
is
them.
your video, the money will be going goes to them, or
Okay,
they will strike it, like they will ask you to delete it. So those
okay,
kind of scenarios are there. But yeah, and I think if this kind of thing is happening to YouTubers that way, then it should happen to AI companies also.
yeah, that is
Or
what I'm thinking.
because although it is fair use, so many companies still find ways to do copyright strikes for some
Yeah,
reason or other.
I think that's it. For me, the most simplest solution is that whenever whatever data you source to train the model, you should try to pay for it. Like, but then that is the ideal case scenario that I'm trying. That is what, if I was a judge, like I would say this thing. But
Mm.
practically, it is going to be very difficult because who is going to speak on behalf of all this collection of people who create things? The people on the AI, they are more powerful there, and this is very important.
Yeah.
Like people having, knowing people in positions of power is the reality of life if you want to get ahead. So like actually, I'm even working on an article called credibility versus credential. That's the point is that having skills and knowledge and good marks on the one hand, and the other hand, knowing people in higher positions in the various, either in companies or in government, how does this work? And from various sources, I have learned that the other part is also, I think, in fact, it's far more important than the second one, which is I don't know if you can call it an open secret or something, which is the reality, but from a childhood we are not being told that thing. Told that we are being told that yeah, you work hard, get good, like be yeah, be obedient and so on, you get high in life, but that's not the truth. Because recently, talking about AI, there is this Meta has acquired Scale AI. It's a data training company. And one of the reasons that is being said is that because the co-founder of this company, Alexander Wang, and I think he's very young. He's like 27 or 28 years old. He's younger than me, and he's co-founder of co-founder of this company, and he has good ties with people in the capital of USA. So means with government officials and those area. And so you can see the reasons, like even Meta and even Mark Zuckerberg being such a billionaire, even he doesn't have this much access. As compared to regular people, I think Mark Zuckerberg has a lot of access. I think so recently there was a video of him having dinner with Donald Trump. So this says that he has a lot of access to people in positions of power. But even then
Mhm.
he made the decision to acquire companies just for the reasons to be associated with Alexander Wang, who has power and influence with people in positions of power. And if you have people in
Mhm.
positions of power, you can you can influence how they make policies. So do you think like
Yeah.
practically that is what they're trying to do? So if you can have access to people in positions of power, you will try to push policies that affect yourself, affect you. The same thing happened with data centers that we talked about last time. The people are dying or people's lives are
Mhm.
getting worse, but data centers are still being subsidized. So I think the same thing might happen here. So even though legally,
This kind of situations are called lobbying, right?
yeah, it is called that.
And this
So
is illegal actually by as per the constitution and stuff. This is illegal.
I don't know. I'm not sure whether it's legal or illegal. Like you have to look into it.
I think so. It should be because this produces a conflict of interest at least for government officials. For example, they are not allowed to do stock trading and stuff, right? Or insider trading is one particular concern there.
Yeah. So let me look into it.
That is why
So
who is that US governor? Nancy Pelosi or someone whose husband or someone is some kind of businessman or something, and she does a lot of stock trading, and like there's a consistent pattern before the US or Congress passes some kind of any policy or something that is going to affect some companies, she would usually sell the stocks beforehand.
okay. Okay. So that is what I'm saying. Okay. So what is lobbying here? Act of attempting to influence decisions made by government officials. It is a form of the law fully seeks to impact legislations. So now I'll ask the question: is lobbying legal? Because here it says it lawfully seeks.
I mean, the people who lobbying is when you like you put you kind try to put the power people in power in or the people who are
Yeah.
on your side you try to put them on power.
It's a legal way of doing
So
the
ultimately they
things.
are
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, lobbying is legal. In many countries, it is a constitutionally protected activity. The right to lobby is based on the fundamental right of citizens to petition their government to redress a grievance. However, while lobbying is legal, it is a highly regulated activity to ensure transparency. The purpose of regulation is to make the public aware of who is attempting to influence the government and to what extent. Distinction and bribery.
So can you ask like is lobbying legal for a private entity to how should I ask like
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
person in government should not have access to or should not be contacting private institutions. So when a private businessman tries to put someone in the government for their use, that
Yeah,
aspects could be illegal.
yeah, I think so. I don't think that is lobbying. Here it says that who who lobbies. Lobbying is conducted by a wide range of individuals. These are individuals, professional lobbyists, hired to advocate on behalf of a client. They're often lawyers, politicians. Yeah.
So can you ask like if a private businessman tries to put a person he favors in the government, is that lobbying? Something like that.
That's that is something that is putting a puppet. If a
private business owner tries to put someone he knows into the position of power in government.
I don't think that is lobbying. That is a completely different thing because a lot of people donate to their campaigns, like rich people. So that
Mm.
has to be something else. Lobbying is it's a different kind of thing. Yeah, it is not lobbying actually. Lobbying is the
Mm.
act of communicating with people who are already in power. Like you're trying to build up relationship with them and trying to influence them. That's the thing. This is a different thing.
But like, then what is the difference? Ultimately, it leads to the same result.
Yeah, it leads to the same result, but again, the difference is that you are not trying to. It's like
Someone is already in power, you're just trying to
power.
gain their favor.
Yeah, that is.
Whereas
But
someone,
yeah, then because in
yeah,
that
you're trying to
case,
put someone in favor. Yeah.
yeah, in that case, you are 100% in control. That person is just a puppet. He has nothing to do. Not just, for example, if you're lobbying, it's like I don't know the legal thing that is being mentioned here, but from what I understood here is that someone is already in power. You're trying to be on their good books and trying to persuade them, and it can also be, I think so. It can also be somewhat beneficial. Like, for example, if I can also provide them something in back. Like for example, if I want to suppose get a deal done, so I can say that okay, if you can get this deal done, maybe in your next political campaign, or if you have some other issues, I can help you with that. I think this in a smaller form, this thing happens in office all the time. Like, can you help me with this? I can help you with that in some form. But on the other
Hmm.
hand, if I say that I am putting you in charge, like you are just my puppet, like there is this illusion of democracy. There's nothing is there. Like it seems like you are the president or the prime minister of this country, but what you are actually is that you are the puppet. I'm going to make the decisions. I'm doing anything, and I don't think the puppet
Hmm.
doesn't have much of a choice that okay, I want to quit. I don't think you can quit because if you quit, if you can come, you can quit and say that this is the truth. You'll be killed. Your family will be killed. Like you are practically a hostage there. So I think the call it's quite different. I think so.
Hmm.
So yeah, the whole where we're talking about is this, yeah, the ideal case scenario, but what's practically going to happen. So if you go back to the original discussion that we're doing, yeah, so people should be given the chance. AI companies who are training the model should pay the people who they are taking data from. But as you said, this fair use thing, I was not aware of this fair use concept, so I don't know now. That creates a lot of ambiguity. Like people can always come up with their own explanation about how it's fair use or it's not. So yeah, so that is something
Hmm.
that has to be talked about. So anything else to talk about?
Yeah. No, I think this concludes the all the points. Like, if you want to talk, you can keep talking about this. There's like no end to this debate. But I
Yeah,
think we have majorly covered most of the points.
okay. So that I think that we can end this topic
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we end this, like this is not going to be part of the video. I'll delete this part. So since we're talking about copyrights and fair use, I thought about in our future videos, maybe we can play videos and then discuss about those videos there. So yesterday we were talking about the disease, those kind of thing, and uh,
Mm.
and today I was looking on how to Also look at I'll also share the audio in Zoom videos so you can screen record this. And I found a way. And let me see if it works or not. I won't do it this way. Maybe next week we'll discuss more in details. But today this is just a demo, if it works or not. Yeah, this is the video.
Hey, everybody, I'm James Gunn. I'm the
Can you hear the audio now?
Yeah, I can hear it.
co-CEO of DC Studios. So as
Yeah,
many of you
since
know, DC has been disconnected in film and television for a long time. And it's one of, our jobs, mine and Peter's, is to come in and make sure the DCU is connected in film, television, gaming, and animation. That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors.
okay, since the audio works now, I know that it works. So next time I'm going to talk about more about the DC universe and all those things. And not just DC universe, like
Mm,
even in the future, we might take different videos and discuss the ideas and concepts of these videos. So previously
yeah.
there was I did not know how to share the video or share the audio along with the videos. But now I got to know that you have to click
How do
a
you do that
button.
then? What's the setting?
It's simple.
While sharing
If
the screen.
Yeah, you try to share a screen, and there on the right hand side there will be share audio option. Try once. You don't even have to
Share
try.
sound, yeah.
Yeah, share sound. That's the thing. You have to just click there, and then whatever
Okay.
audio is there, it will share. So next time onwards, like if I might also look at some videos and do those kind of things.
Hmm.
Okay, then we can end it now.